Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the URC, and this one, similar to what we saw last week. The Bulls, they will be taking on Zebre. Pretty much the Bulls and the Sharks, they've swapped opponents. Sharks are going to take on Leinster a little bit later on tonight, but this is the way that the table was sitting at the start of the round. Now, since then, we have seen a couple decent wins. Ulster managing to get themselves the victory over the Stormers, so they will advance up. In fact, that seems like it's a little bit more updated, maybe even after Ulster got their last win, but there is still plenty of juggling that can take place. No, that would have been actually Ulster are a little bit higher on the table, I should mention, but looking through at the starting lineups, first of all for the Bulls, they are going to be as follows: Tashak Veni in the front row alongside Jan Hendrik Vessels and Mornay Smith, Ruan Vermaak alongside JF van Heeren, and then Marcel Kutsia, Kirsten, and Gumedi as the loose forward trio. Zach Berger starting at 9 with Keegan Johannes in the number 10 jersey. Harold Foster and David Creel in the midfield. Stravinio Jacobs, he needs a big game, because last time we called a game that he was involved in, he had one of the worst games I think we've ever seen from him. So hopefully he can fire back here. Sergio Peterson in that number 14 jersey, and Devin Williams at number 15. In terms of the Zebre lineup, quite a few similarities in some regard to what they did have last week. Fatuli Pai once again finds himself in that number 13 jersey. Gacy, he did pretty well out on the left. And then that physical loose forward trio. This is a side that pushed the Sharks. And in some regards, the Sharks were probably a little bit lucky to win that game. It was mainly because of that physicality that they could enforce later on in the contest, and having a dominant scrum made all the difference. But in the chat we have got there 35 points to 10, the Bulls to win, says on the right, and a big Bulls win today, 42 points to 17. I'll be interested to see if they can create a bit more of a separation. As you can see here, these are the results from last week. The Bulls getting a 1-point win over Leinster, and the Sharks getting a 1-point win over Zebre. So two very close games for these two sides. One was on the winning side, one on the losing. And the Bulls having a close game with the Stormers in a few weeks prior to that as well. Looks like a great afternoon at Loftus though. The sun is out, although not too much of it is actually going to be on the field, with this one taking place in the later afternoon or mid-afternoon at the moment, I will say. And playing in Pretoria at altitude matters. Won't be the same as against the Sharks, says Christopher DeVette. And Highland Hamish says Robert V. Although I want to give Zebre some credit, and I feel like maybe they were underestimated in their game up against the Sharks. And I do think with the look of this Bulls side, they have gone a bit more experimental. Now, they have actually got a game next week, and that is going to be up against Bayonne as a part of the Challenge Cup. So I thought maybe that would be the game that they went a bit more experimental with, but it seems like maybe that is going to be the one that they decide to put their stronger lineup out on the field. 26 degrees Celsius for a cloudy afternoon game at Loftus. A bit more of a crowd than we did see last week for that Leinster game, although still a few more empty seats than I'm sure that they would have liked to see. But this is a strong Bulls side, even with the changes that they've made. But no Villy LaRue in that side. And honestly, there's a list of about maybe 7 players or so that we could say that they are missing. But off the bench, it's going to be Aka van der Merwe, Martin Zima, and Wilco Low as the front row replacements. Ruan Noki and Marco van Staden, so two very handy players to have coming off the bench alongside Nassim Carr, and then Ambrose Papier and Biota Chamberlain there as the other two replacements. The Zebre, I'll be honest, don't know a huge amount about some of these guys that will be making their way off the bench, but all I know is if they bring that same intensity as they did last week up against the Sharks, they should be able to find some success throughout this 80 minutes. We have got there any national players. I never noticed any. So the only one in their whole side, I believe, is one of the props. I think it is Fukasi, or Lucasi it might be, but he is not playing due to playing in the Six Nations. And we have got there, hi Robert, says Christopher. And the Bulls need more consistency. Those should be okay today, but it would be a good surprise, or a big surprise, to keep it close. 3-game win streak was impressive, says Jonathan. 50th appearance for Zebre here for Christian Telly. In that number 15 jersey, he actually had quite a role to play in last week's game up against the Sharks, and now the rest of Zebre's side will make their way onto the field. Now, I should also mention, this is the first of 3 URC games that we are covering on the channel. I will apologise in advance. My voice might start to cut out as we get further down the line. Already covered about 7 or 8 games of the sevens today alongside Super Rugby Pacific. We did about 5 hours of streaming last night as well, I believe, so that hasn't helped the vocal cords that much either. Zach Berger, though, he will be able to lead this Bulls side out, as he too will be bringing up a milestone game in this contest, and the crowd going to well and truly get behind him, as well as the rest of this Bulls team. This is going to be, is it his 100th or his 50th? I think it would be closer to his 100th, wouldn't it? The amount of time that he has been at the Bulls. And hello, Hamish, sitting in my pub scrummy, Jack Up Road, says Ruth. Do let me know, of course, not just your score prediction, but also who you guys think will be the first try scorer of this matchup. For me, I do think it's going to be... See, I was going to say a loose forward for the Bulls, but honestly, like, there is a chance that they just decide to put it out wide. Might be the better bet. And so that means Trevino Jacobs, he's a player who really needs a try. Because if he can get one, he'll be, I would say, a whole lot happier than he would have been after that last performance that we talked about. Now, just about to get underway for this contest. Both sides have made their way onto the field. How's the money from these live streams? It must be nice to get paid for your hobby. Says on the right. I will say it's a massive bonus, the fact that we do have a monetized channel, although it is a lot less than most people think, because like we still have to work a full-time job alongside it to be able to pay the bills. But any money that the channel makes the whole way through has just gone straight back into the channel, and that's been pretty much towards subscriptions for StreamYard, which is the streaming software we use. That is about $70 a month, so that's pretty much most of the revenue gone right off the get-go, and then a Sky Sports subscription does normally take the rest. Now, nice pop pass up here from the Bulls, who are already having an attacking chance, but it's going to be knocked on by Marcel Kurtz. It's weird seeing so many players on the field, only because we've just finished covering so many matches of the sevens, and it's a good kick downfield from Zebre, almost a 50-22, and a lot of angle. Oh, tell you what, Devon Williams' foot was almost on the line there when he kicked that one downfield. Bulls should win, but after Zebre last week, I'm rooting for the Italians, says Ruth. Going to be nicely claimed on the halfway line for Zebre. The Bulls winning with a bonus point, says Gustav. And of course, bonus points in the URC, 4 tries. Zebre were able to get themselves 2 bonus points last week, and they would love to be able to do that again, definitely in their away legs. Now, off to the right-hand side, first try for Jan-Hendrik Wessels. Says Robert, decent shout there. It's a handy player to have, and that's going to be a great steal in the breakdown. And we have good there, how could you, says Christopher. Now, kick downfield from Keegan Johannes. Zebre, only pretty good with that cover defense when it comes to the kicks in behind. Little chip attempted by Trula, but it sits up for Devon Williams. Berger goes across to Johannes, who will look for a 50-22 of his own. This one's going to look dangerous and could go into touch, and it does. Early 50-22 for the Bulls to put them in the right place on the field. Now we have got the outsider in Castle Lager. As top, says Ruth. And Hamish, your weekend commentary is king, says Ruth. And next weekend is going to be just as hectic. I mentioned about it just before that the Challenge Cup is going to be taking place alongside the Champions Cup. We've got the Singapore Sevens Super Rugby as well. So as hectic as this weekend has been, it's actually going to be more hectic next weekend, which could be absolutely brutal, but we're going to make our way through it. Jan-Hendrik Wessels now going across to the left-hand side here. Oh, nice passing coming from the Bulls. Devon Williams with the inside ball to Sergio Peterson, and they will score early here for the Bulls in front of the home crowd. Exactly the start that they would have been after, getting that 50-22, and not just getting it, but then making the most of the territory gain that they had And Bulls supporters in the stands have already taken their shirts off very early on in this contest, but a hot afternoon. And great try early, says Jonathan. A few people here at school holidays, people left town. Nice inside ball from Williams, finds Sir Jill Pedersen. Picked the wrong winger. I mean, Stravino Jakobs was probably more of just an optimistic one because of how he played in his last game, but Sergio Pedersen, as soon as he breaks a line, very hard to catch him. Keegan Johannes, he will be the man in charge of this kick, normally relatively accurate. 25 metres out on the angle. And does get it down the middle. It's a Springbok supporters pub. And the owner, Micah Herman, and Arsenal supporter. Oh, sorry, that might actually be German and Arsenal supporter rather than Herman. Been covering too much of the Argentine sevens. That was a very flat pass from Devon Williams from that second angle that they just showed. But the try does stand. And 4 minutes into the contest, 7-0 in favour of the Bulls. Kicked high by Zebre. And nicely taken in the air. About 25 metres out from their line, so they will roll this back. So Zach Berger will send it to the sky. Been told to use it by the ref. Oh, almost partially charged down by Zebre to claim the ball about 40 metres out from their line. Taken now, 22 metres out from the line from Keegan Johannes. Goes to Williams, who will go for a kick of his own down the middle of the field. Playing the territory game quite well at the moment here, the Bulls. Now Monte Maori will put this one out. Can't really drink. I stick to the Castle Drought. Says Ruth. A couple kicking battles already happening. Oh, yeah, Sergio Pedersen was right in there. I think he was trying to ask for the penalty, the Zebre player, but the referee just ignored him. Going to be a line out now for the Bulls around the halfway line. Thrown in, well claimed, and then knocked on by Zach Berger. Frustration. The experienced 9. It means that we get to see our first scrum of the day. Bulls have gone with a pretty large pack, although Zebre packed their own punch. Zach Berger just looking maybe at who was running at him before he was worried about catching that ball. Good afternoon, Rugby Nerds. Says Jimbo in there. Welcome in, Jimbo. Hope you are doing very well. 3 games of the URC back-to-back, including the second match between the Sharks and Leinster. I'm sure you will be keeping a close eye on that. Glasgow versus the Lions. That's going to be our last one. I'm having a nice cold. A Hansa Pilsner, says Anthony. Oh, here we go. Pack weights. 932 kgs of the Bulls. 889 for Zebre, which is honestly about a stock standard scrum. The Bulls have just decided to really bulk up for this one, it would seem. And maybe that is down to the fact that they saw what the Sharks were able to do up against the Bulls. Up against Zebre in last week's game. A huge wall-to-wall flat screen TV here. Watching the one above my bar lady. And Hamish, who's going to do it? I do believe that the Bulls should get the win here. If they didn't, something's gone wrong, because I do think that Zebre, they probably had their big performance last week, and sadly for them, it just wasn't quite enough. They got it early, and penalty Zebre too far for a 3, and that is going to be another penalty for Zebre now. This one, distance-wise, we've got to remember it is at altitude, so you could line up the 3 if they really wanted to, but something that they did well up against the Sharks, I thought, was their decision-making. Deciding when to go for the 3 and when to go for the corner. And once again, they go for the corner here to move them to about maybe 17 metres out from the try line. Just on this near side, bit of an early push from the Bulls. Have Zebre actually suffered big defeats this season, or just many more reasonable losses? Like, they've had a couple runaway games against them. But overall, like, their points differential, it's minus 73, right? So that doesn't look great. But, you know, you look at Benetton, who are sitting minus 63. Cardiff, who are in 5th, who are sitting minus 55. Like, they've had, I think it's probably 3 that have really hurt them, where they've lost by like substantial 30-ish margins, or maybe even some cases more, but that one's going to go into touch out wide, so the chance to attack did go wonky for Zebre there. I didn't realise you were so far ahead, Ruth. It's only 12:55 here, says Jimbo. Alejandro Agassi, he's only had 2 career appearances, and one of which was up against the Sharks last week, which he did have a very impressive game. Okay, keep the left shoulder up is the call there from the ref. So the scrums have been a little bit 50-50 at times. And honestly, like, it's going to be one of those ones that, depending on the referee's discretion, really, it really does kind of change what the penalties will be. It's nearly 9 p.m. in Taipei. I'm already drunk, says Christopher. Now ball's going to be fed in by Zach Berger, and both front rows go down there. This time I think Zebre might have been having a little bit more trouble on this near side. Dealing with Shakveni. Yeah, the live standings, the way that it currently sits, Ulster have actually moved up into 5th, which is a massive boost, because like, we got to remember, they were sitting about 15th or 14th 2 matches ago, and now they've just continued to climb. Now, of course, they have played an extra game than some of these other teams, and 8:57 a.m. in the USA. Jake White looking on for this game. No one really knows what that man is thinking priority-wise at the moment, whether or not he's looking at the URC. Well, I think it is still the URC. Oh, that's a knock-on from Guameti. No one even touched him. But they did have the advantage in their favour there, the Bulls, so they will be able to go back. Got a big smile on his face. But just slipping out of the fingertips. Means that we do get ourselves another scrum here. Yeah, no one touched him. It was just the fact that maybe a little bit of a slippery ball managed to sneak out of the fingertips. Probably lucky he didn't get a double stomp to the back from one of the Zebre players. He did extremely well to avoid him. There's not many supporters in the stands today. Empty, says Ruth. And I think, that could have been down to the selection. They have left a lot of their big players out for this lineup, so some of the supporters may have gone, well, we're not going to bother. What's your drink of choice? In terms of every type of drink, I would probably go Fanta. I do enjoy a Fanta, although I've become a little bit less susceptible to a Fanta as of late. It's going to be nicely claimed. Only 5 metres out from the line, Zach Berger. Ball's there again for the Bulls. I want you calling the Sharks later. Says Walter. It's going to be a tough game. Leinster have come out with a pretty strong looking lineup, but I do see the Sharks having learnt quite a bit up against Zebre, being able to get the win there. But I do think it will be split by less than 7. And I just hope that they find their rhythm, because at times up against Zebre, it was very mixed. They were split up a little bit and couldn't find that momentum, but I do think they'll be better this week. The East Stand as always, plus, just before I read that one, 20 handling errors up against Zebre. They can cut that in half easy enough and then all of a sudden be right in a contest. I can't see Stormers or Ulster causing an upset, says Jimbo. The East Stand is always empty during URC matches. It's not a flattering look. Hopefully things will change as we play more, says Christopher. And that's the thing, with afternoon games, you can understand why that far side doesn't have many people in it, because you're looking straight into the sun. So, it's a bit of a brutal one. Definitely when, we got to remember that the heat's at about 26 degrees Celsius, probably feels closer to 28. Oh, nice work from Zach Berger. Tried to milk the penalty, but then instead will run it up the middle, and he scores the try. That is a brilliant individual one there from Zach Berger. Some people won't like it too much, but classic halfback. Pass it into a guy who is in your back line, get the advantage, and then go, okay, well, everyone's stopped, so I'm going to just run this one. And Stormers hopefully will bounce back, says Anthony, so we're going to see it here. Passes it straight into him. Ball bounces out. Well done from Mike Adamson as well. A lot of referees would have just gone back and blown that. But used the ref's whistle to his advantage there, Berger. He does score the try for the Bulls again, except from today's result. As maybe are out. Says Jonathan. Teams won't take Zebre for granted as much anymore, says Jonathan. And terrible defence. Says Jimbo there too. And we love Burgers on weekends, especially the one that scores tries. Says on the right. Now chance here for another kick to go over. And it does just that. Straight out in front of the post. 14-0 for the Bulls after around 14 minutes. But yeah, Zach Berger. And no one realised. Like all of the Bulls players were asking the ref to give the penalty. But Zach Berger said, okay, well, I'm just going to run this one then. And don't drop him. Much better by Zachy, says Eric. That was a much cleaner catch for that man than the line out. Now kicking off again. Montemari to get us back underway. And Bulls kicker on target, says Ruth. Nicely taken by Kirsten inside of the Bulls 22 again. They will be able to look towards the sideline here. So Berger will go back into the pocket to Keegan Johannes. And very good clearing kick. Zebre decide against the quick throw. This one will be right on the halfway line. And Bulls here, come on, the Italians, says Ruth. Yeah, quite a fast tempo at the start of this game. And anytime there is a game played at altitude, when they play this quickly for a start, I do get that little bit concerned because at some point, someone's going to slow down. Stormers, so-called Wonder Boys, dropped them badly last night. Could have had 5 points on the log. Says Eric on the right. This will hit 8 tries. Zebre will score more near the half. Says Jonathan. Going off to the left. Zebre with the ball again. Evan Rus, spelling. Spelling is correct. Yep. Was unplayable for the Stormers. Ridiculously good player. Says Jimbo, yeah, he's got a huge amount of potential when he has his discipline under control, and I think he's been working on it quite a bit as of late. He used to be quite a temper type of player, how he let emotion get the better of him, but now he seems a lot more composed, which has led to his game getting even stronger. I don't know whether or not that's something that maybe Rassi said to him, or whether it's something a coach has said to him at some point, saying, listen, you have to be in control here, because we don't want you giving away random penalties. It's going to be knocked on by Zebre. And yes, the ball says Ben. Stormers discipline let them down. They lost that match, says Christopher the Vet. Now, Sergio Peterson going for the chip and behind. This is going to be a challenging one at the back for Zebre. And luckily for their number 14, Treula, does just go into touch. Hamish, it's Sunday in New Zealand. So are you in the future? Or so you're in the future. So what's the result of Sharks versus Leinster? Close game, Cornelius. But we are still, of course, going to be covering it in only about 4 hours' time. I think the plan is going to be, in between these two live streams, get a little bit more prep done for the sevens, get those live streams scheduled, or maybe not scheduled, but just ready to be scheduled for tomorrow. Yeah, she's going to be a busy 24 hours. In fact, we're going to be up for longer than 24, and then we get to sleep for 3, and then we're back into it. Now rolling maul attempted by Zebre, although is it a rolling maul if it doesn't move forward? It's more so just a maul in that case. Possession there, Fusco goes back into the pocket for Montemari. I like Johannes at 10, could be a good move, an option going forward, says Eric. He seems to really have a composed nature about him. Anyone see the Fischer red card? Oh, that one's going to be knocked on by the Bulls, picked up nicely and flicked back in field. They'll go back. Well, the scrum again, though. Anyone think that was the correct colour? I haven't actually seen that game as of yet, I'll be completely honest. Originally, I was going to be covering that match, but then I got the message last night during one of the streams about doing something for one of the other Kiwi lads' birthdays. So, yeah, in the end, I decided that to do that stream would have changed the time that we were going to be able to do stuff, so I had to kind of sacrifice that one, and it's always the case. Always a good game when we don't do it. I think that's happened for Super Rugby multiple times. Anytime we don't do a game, it always turns out to be a really good one. It was an unfortunate rev, very fast and dynamic movement with the ball carrier dropping height very quickly, says Rory. And Hamish doing fabulous again, marathon commentary. How many more games? So we have still got another 2 matches of the URC that are coming later on. Leinster versus the Sharks and Cardiff versus the Lions. And then alongside that, about, I would say, 6 hours or so after that last URC live stream finishes, we're back into the 7s between 5 p.m. and around 12 a.m. New Zealand time. So there's about a 7-hour window where more matches of the 7s will be taking place. We'll probably do about 7 matches, somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 5. Why do they keep giving Jakobs chances? He's such bad hands. Yeah, he really struggled last time we covered a game. In fact, he didn't really do anything right, which sounds harsh, but anyone who was there for that stream will know exactly what we're talking about. Fusco now on the halfway line here for Zebre. Nice attack and run forward from Lucian. Slotting in that number 12 jersey. And fair enough, Hamish, mate. You can't cover every single match. Even though I would love to, that's going to be beautifully done by Zebre, and they will score the try. The bounce of the ball just set up for him. Who was defending there? That was either Johannes or Jacobs, I think. And yeah, the crowd are not happy. Some lady was ripping into them. Lovely looking at that scrum on the big screen TV side view of these scrummers. Beautiful thighs, says Ruth. I'm going to see the kicking behind. Just thought he had it covered. Yeah, it was Trevino Jacobs again who makes another mistake. The Zebre can be dangerous. What they did the Sharks last week, says AL. I get the not wrapping, but guy with the ball was running in head first and first share. What was it, about head height? They gave him a straight red, says Ethan, and the last match between the two was 54-29, unbelievable, says Jonathan Manson. So yeah, we're in for a high-scoring one. By the sounds of that, Trevino still knocks Jacobs, says Eric, and that kick has gone over, making the score now after 20 minutes. Zebre 7, Bulls 14. And it was the number 14, Jacopo Trehula. Trevino just going the completely wrong way, getting a terrible bounce, to be fair. And sometimes you just can't predict where that ball's going to go. Come on, the Bulls, says Ben. Kicked off long and into the Zebre 22. Nicely claimed by David Ruggieri. Been told to use it again. They are inside of their 22, so Alejandro Fosco will put this ball into touch. Very good kick as well. And the Bulls will decide against taking the quick throw. And it just shows, same happened last week up against the Sharks, how when a side slightly thinks that Zebre can't beat them or can't get past them, that's normally when we see those like brilliant tries being scored. I know that Zebre had one on the near side last week up against the Sharks. That was just a very impressive try that I don't think the Sharks thought that Zebre had in them. And the Bulls by 10, says Birdie V. And how's it, Hamish, brother? Welcome in. First, Jacobs knocks the ball. Then he totally misread the ball. Not even jumping for it, says Eric. Now sitting 40 metres out from the line. The Bulls are in possession, or at least they were until they have lost that ball. That one's kicked out on the full, though, from Ruggieri. A lot of busyness. Oh, in fact, sorry, Batista Salville is the one who is in that number 8 jersey. They've actually had the late change, if that is the case. But then saying that, he didn't really look like Ruggieri. Yeah, Saville, the man in that 8 jersey. The Bulls haven't won 2 in a row at home since September and October. Been a little while. They've got a massive chance to do so here, kind of versing opposite ends of the table in terms of beating Leinster to end their winning streak, and now facing Zebre, who are still relatively low on the standings. Still a very good side. Now scrum feed again for Zebre. It goes in. Alejandro Fusco going across the left-hand side, round the halfway line. Trying to work out who that was. I believe it is once again going to be Lucian. Italians have great tattoos. So here's Ruth going back across to the right-hand side. Rush defence from the Bulls. Works nicely to shut it down. How full are the stands? Some games had a minimal attendance. This one looks like it's pretty empty too on the far side. I think on the near side they get a lot more supporters, but in terms of what we can see, I know this isn't the case because I know that there are more in different positions, but if you were basing it off just that far side, you'd say maybe 10-15% attendance. But I'd say that they're probably closer to 30 or 40 with the other sides of the ground taken into consideration. Maybe 40 might be a bit optimistic, probably 30%, I would say, of Loftus, which is still a decent number. Normally we do get to see the attendance at some point throughout the match. So excited about Sasha Feinberg and Zulu for the box. He just needs to stay fit, sharp in the rough edges. Watch out the rest of the world, says Ethan, and that is going to be another mistake made. Zach Berger puts his hand up to apologise, but it is in fact going to be the penalty going the way of the Bulls. Already got themselves the 2 tries, so 2 more would give them the bonus point from this contest. Okay, sounds like they are just getting told a little bit of what to do in those lineouts. And some top shelf analysis from Ruth, says Ethan in there. Bulls have lovely shoulders. They have certainly large shoulders, 923 kgs or whatever it was for their forward pack. And like they've just said, Zebre a little bit late with that sack, which is why they were penalised for it. About 15 metres out from the line. Another throw for Jan Hendrik Wessels. He can play hooker or he can play prop. And there's going to be the penalty going the way of Zebre. That was 7 ahead, so that is against Janis Kirsten, I should say. They are showing Marcel Kurtzia, but he was not the man penalised. They are showing Takshveni as well, but he also wasn't penalised. It's going to go into touch around 45 metres out from their own line here. For Zebre. Only 15 minutes remaining in this first half. 2 penalties apiece. I've just seen how red my eyes are. We've been awake for a long time, ladies and gents. We've still got over 5 hours of commentary to go as well. That one's going to be knocked back onto the side of the Bulls. Devin Williams almost goes through, gets the pass away to David Creel. And there's some really grumpy Manchester United supporters. Don't like me because I'm Liverpool. They make snarky comments. I just cheer. Go play snooker, guys. Says Roof now. Kick downfield from Zebre after managing to get the possession back. At least attempting a 50-22, but it will roll into the in-goal area. Devin Williams, he will just place this one down. Will become a goal line dropout. What's happening in Super Rugby Pacifica, Hamish? Is it right what I am hearing? Wannabes have a bit of rugby revival? A little bit, but I would also say that some of the, it's tricky to say this without it sounding like I'm being negative, but some of the Aussie sides have played really only the Aussie sides at this point, or maybe one game up against the Kiwis. So I think we will see them drop a little bit more. Drop kick attempted from Zebre, about maybe 45 out, and it has gone over. So the tactic of kicking it close to dead actually worked for Zebre there. But yeah, I think that the Aussie sides certainly do look strong at times, but then still, most of the time when they play the Kiwis, they do struggle a bit, with the exception of the Highlanders. I just think the blitz box results, what went wrong for them in Hong Kong. Honestly, I just think they got extremely unlucky. They played up against Uruguay and did very well, won it 40 points to 7. They had their next game up against Australia. Australia, some of you who have heard a few live streams today, they will be sick of this statement, but Australia played their best game that I've seen them play in the last season, if not the last couple of years, up against South Africa, and I don't think it would have mattered who was in front of them, they still would have steamrolled them. And then they had their game up against New Zealand, a little bit of a slow start, and then just couldn't quite work it back enough. Like, all they needed was 3 extra points, and they would have been through to the next stage. The refs are almost the South African, or are against the South African teams this URC, says Piet. And I am everyone. Hope all are well. Struggling with Wi-Fi today. Connectivity cuts out and again. So we in and out. Hopefully the technicians can sort it quickly. Aussie are not on the same level of the New Zealand sides in Super Rugby. Hurricanes, Chiefs are looking great. Western Force looking their best in team's history. And I mean, Carlo Tizzano's been an absolute tank for them. That's going to be popped up now, taken back by Zebre, but it is going to be the penalty to the Bulls. In a position on the field that they could take an easy 3, but I don't see that being the Bulls' mindset here. We're also very excited about all Sasha's brain farts last night. But he is talented, just needs to stay humble. He has no general, he was no general last night. And massive home advantage, man, like 21 points head start to the home team, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, says Ethan. And drop goal, maybe one of the better drop goals this year. Yes, probably 45 out and cleared it with plenty of distance. Of course, playing at altitude, it means that you can afford to kick it from further out and you will get distance. Yeah, that was great. Says Jonathan, nicely claimed for the rolling maul, and another drop ball from Gumedi. Looks like Zebre have managed to get the clean steal and the breakdown too, so a bit of a slippery situation at the moment, it would seem, with the amount of drop balls we have seen in the first 28 minutes. Now down the wing, Hesse gets close to the sideline and the touch flag does go up. Line out now for the Bulls. Tap and go, says Eric. So instead they decided to go for the corner, which I would say it didn't work, but it also wasn't awful, like, if that makes sense. It was just the drop ball that ended up costing it. The line-out plan, I think, was a relatively good one, or maybe even they should have gone for the scrum in the middle of the field. Could have been quite handy. Now the Bulls just got there that the line-outs have been won 8 from 8 for the Bulls, and just like that, they almost managed to lose. A brilliant run from Stravino Jacobs, and he will score. That is much needed for that man's confidence, because, you know, he's had a couple rough games, even just before he did have a defensive error that cost them a try. Gets the big tap on the head from David Creel. He knows how much that one was needed for his left winger. And the Bulls needed that try badly to shift the momentum. And yes, the Bulls says Ben, but great step from Stravino Jacobs, who scores it between the sticks. Some players busy tearing up their contracts here. Zach Jacobs and Gumedi, says Eric. And the kick has gone over there as well, so that will make the score now 21 points to 10. I thought Sasha was brilliant. I wasn't perfect, yes, a few errors, but made many more fantastic things. One or two 50-22s, created a couple of tries, couple of drop goals, couple of line breaks, says Ethan. Can't believe it's my last few hours in New Zealand, flying at 10 a.m. back to South Africa, says Birdie V. Are you going to be getting some sleep beforehand, Birdie? Because surely that's going to be a brutal flight. How long is it? About probably, I want to say 15 hours or something like that. If you're going direct, or are you going from maybe New Zealand to Australia and then, I don't know, whether you go Hong Kong, then South Africa or somewhere like that. Jacob's contract renewed. Let's give him a basket to catch the Bulls, says Eric. Bulls is going to win. They're the best club in South Africa, says Jason. And I don't think so, brother. Says Birdie V, flying to Singapore, then South Africa. Okay, so that's still going to be a long flight, isn't it? Does that add a lot of time by going Singapore? Like, have you got a decent layover that won't take too long? Nicely taken by Zebre, and Winter's picked up pretty much, or pretty strong at the moment, says Ruth. Now Luca. Chance here for Zebre to be able to get back on the try-scoring sheet. They have got one so far in this game. Like I mentioned, last week they managed to get themselves the bonus point up against the Sharks for 4 or more tries. Love to be able to do it again. Not a lot of space on the short side to work for Krumov. Ball is still there. Alejandro Fusco going across. And Birdie Happy flying. Sears Roof now popped up again. Oh, trying to go for the quick go. Around the side of the breakdown, and that is backfired. Knocked on Sergio Pedersen. Was it a 50-22? I believe it is. And the Bulls playing a tough territory game at the moment. Yeah, quite decent, brother. Singapore quite clued up. A lot of time, or lots of time to sleep on the plane. Says Birdie V. And I guess that is probably a better tactic, isn't it? Rather than being wide awake for the whole flight. Unless, of course, you've got some work or something that you could do. What I found when we went to... Was it when we went to Australia, I believe it was? I just ended up editing for a majority of it. And because I was on a plane, like, I couldn't do much else. Just because I can't sleep on planes because my head goes forward. And I end up tipping myself forward. Not too bad, but just the head keeps dropping. And Stormers could have won, but they gave away too many penalties. Says Jason, can someone write Stormers 10 name for me, please? Ulster commentators butchered it last night, says Jimbo. Now rolling maul attempted here for the Bulls after getting their 50-22. No advantage in play as of yet, but coming straight through the middle was the Zebre lock. Now Harold Foster. I believe that is the first time we've said that man's name in 33 minutes. New penalty advantage in favour of the Bulls again. Jan Hendrik Wessels. Wumedi. First time he has hung on to the ball today too. Harold Foster goes off to David Creel with the short pass. Pops it up now on the outside. Sergio Pedersen this time puts it down. They'll go back for another penalty. Ethan, of course, he did some good things. But a most important task at 10. General, stay calm, be the general in big moments. But he will learn, need more BMT. Such tight away matches. And we have good there, take the 3, 24 points to 10. Although I think that they are trying to secure that bonus point as quickly as possible. Stormers should have won that game. But 2 points is nothing, or is better than nothing, says Lilia B. Yeah, it's always tough away from home. And if you can get even 1 point sometimes, can be the difference maker. 2 vodkas and a Coke. And the cabin pressure. I was sure sleep on a plane, Hamish, says Christopher. I actually ended up, last flight that I was on as well, on the way home, I ended up watching that Whistleblowers World Rugby documentary on referees, and that was quite an interesting watch. Now they've stopped once here for the Bulls. Trying to keep it moving, although is it going to? Who's got it all? Jan Hendrik Wessels pretty much just came right through the middle. No one saw him. He does score another try. That is now the bonus point for the Bulls. Hello from Ireland. Patrick O'Brien here. How you doing, lads? Respect to you, lads. Cheers, Patrick. Welcome in, Patrick. How are you with 100% agree, Rick? Will come with age and experience, I believe. Can't play like that at test level against top opposition. And we have there, hey, bro. Big Bulls fan here. So grateful to catch your stream, says Vitamin J. And it is greatly appreciated you being here. We are going to be covering, I believe, the Bulls game next week. We've got it here. They are up against Bayern. It's going to be the 12:30 a.m. kickoff. Now, some of the games do overlap in terms of the Challenge and Champions Cup, but because we mainly cover South African matches on the channel, it means that those games will take a bit of priority, even though the Champions Cup, of course, is massive. But we have got a bit more of a South African audience. So while we're at it, in fact, when we get to halftime, we'll have 4 minutes till that does take place, and we can have a look through and see who's all playing when. But Glasgow versus the Bulls, that one, as well as that upcoming match up against Munster, I believe we will be covering on the channel. Our future bot Hooker scoring. Bulls not playing their strongest team today. And Zebre, says Ruth in there as well, who was second on the log, says Jason. At the moment on the table, I believe it's Glasgow. Just have a quick look. Yeah, Glasgow in second on 49. But if the Bulls win this game with a bonus point, which they are about to do, they will move up to second just for now. And then Glasgow still have their game up against the Lions, where they can also gain some more ground. What's happening with Mo'unga for the All Blacks? Not a whole amount. Like, it's been talked about a bit more, but he is still, I believe, not eligible for the ABs. Or maybe he is for the for the later games, yeah, I think there's some technicality in terms of whether or not he is able to play. And go the Bulls. See, here's Vitamin J in there as well. Now 3 minutes left. Throwing this one in is Luca Biggie. People will know that name. I believe he's had international experience before for the Italians. Rolling more. Mornay Smith told to get out of it. And this is much more effective from Zebre. They haven't got the penalty advantage. Shooting themselves in the foot for as long as he doesn't play. Easily New Zealand's best 10 in my opinion. So here's Ethan Orr. Another knock on. Bit of a bump off the ball from Marcel Kurtzia. Sits up for Harold Forster. Kicks it in behind. That was a push off the ball from Sergio Pedersen. And that will be penalised this time. 7 from 10 points. Good for the Stormers. Our Bulls will be happy if they get near that against Munster and Glasgow when they play away. And we have got there, when we win today, we're going to go to second position, says Jason. And yeah, it's just whether or not Glasgow get themselves the victory over the Lions, because that could then, or even if they don't get the victory, I think they have a good enough points differential that would keep them in the right spot. I agree, Ethan. He dismantled Ireland in World Cup 2023, says Jimbo. I can watch the game, but I love listening to you while I play my own game, you beauty, says Vitamin. Is that your own game of Rugby 25, Vitamin J, is it? Or a different game that you're playing? Crowd, well and truly getting behind their home side here. Only 2 minutes remaining in this first half, which has flown by pretty quickly. PC game, says Vitamin J. Now line out throw for Luca Biggie again. Let's go to the front, slapped on to the side of Zebre. Going back is Villani. A bit scrappy here for Zebre at times, but this is looking a lot smoother. Kirsten misses the tackle. And he glides straight through, still going and just a fingertip away from Krumov. Wasn't able to bring it in. Do you know Drakus Duplessis? I know of him, of course. I don't know him personally. Middleweight champ in the UFC. Going to be fighting Hamza Chimaev next. I think that one's been confirmed, but I'm not too sure of the exact date that it's going to be happening. And Vitamin J is too embarrassed to say it's Candy Crush, says Christopher Vet. And the Bulls were the only team in South Africa who won the Super Rugby, says Jason. And I must say New Zealand peeps are very friendly, especially here in Clive Hastings, says Birdie V. And Keegan Johannes 4 from 4 on the conversions. Great job. And men can multitask, says Vitamin J. And nope, mate, full player versus player. Those are the type of games that I am extremely terrible at. Another missed tackle by Stravino, is that? Or SP, sorry, Sergio Pedersen, that will be, in fact. Now, 20 seconds remaining in the half. Anyone tried the Bomb Squad beer? Any good? Thinking of ordering myself some. Do you play Fortnite? I do not know. Myself and Isaac, we used to play it a little bit, but that was before like everyone was playing it. That was back before they even had updates or anything like that. It's going to be another penalty going the way of the Bulls. That is for the front row standing up. I have the pleasure of a West versus Valley Welsh derby later. So should be close, I hope. And you guys way too cracked, says Vitamin Green. We're just going to get the halftime siren here. I think for the Bulls' sake, you don't bother going anything crazy. In fact, they're going to take the tap and they're going to kick this ball into touch. There's no point risking injuries, using up unneeded extra energy. And I'll be pretty happy with that first half. 28 points to 10, just the one try coming for Zebre. So the best that they can get out of this game, I would think, is another 3 tries so that they do receive that bonus point. Yeah, really quick first half. Only took 44 minutes from kickoff. And we have got there another double for Carlo Tizzano last night. He's insane. Have we ever seen a forward with this try scoring rate? It's insane. I mean, Hoskins started off pretty decently, but he isn't doing what Tazano's doing at the moment in terms of the work rate side of things. And that is something that, Sotutu got criticised for quite a bit, and it split opinions about whether or not he should have been selected for the ABs, but Tazano is just carrying, I wouldn't say he's carrying the force, because there are a few guys who are doing really good stuff there, but he's just putting his hand up even more for the Wallabies kit. I just got a headshot because you distracted me, come on. But isn't that good then? Whatever game you're playing, I would assume that a headshot would do the job. Are we over there? Do you play Rugby 22? I don't. We've been playing Rugby 25 on the channel. We've got a couple career modes going. One is the Hurricanes, one is the Crusaders. Will the Bulls go to sleep? Is it about time that they do? Or is it about time they do that? Yeah, they've struggled to put together an 80-minute performance at times, but I would say that this is one of those games that they just seem fully in control, and that it would be pretty surprising if they were to let it slip away. Let's go the Bulls, says LFG, and it was my head. Okay, I get you then. That's not as good. Do you remember me? Says Yako. I do indeed, the Lion picture. It's great to have you back. We've actually had a lot of the ones who haven't been in streams for a while popping back today, which has been quite cool. Still got plenty more coming tonight. Leinster versus the Sharks alongside just showing the highlight of Sergio Peterson scoring. But yeah, that is one game that we are covering alongside the Glasgow Warriors versus Lions match. It's happening later on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Champions Cup and we're going to go Challenge Cup. And we're going to tell you exactly which matches overlap. Because, of course, we'd like to be able to cover a lot of it. So, first of all, 5th of April, Saturday morning, Edinburgh versus the Lions. Saturday morning, it is Northampton versus Clermont. So I would say we'll end up commentating Edinburgh Lions if they are showing those ones in New Zealand. That's one of the other issues with the Challenge Cup. Sometimes we don't actually get to see them. The Bulls are playing Bayern at 12:30 a.m. New Zealand time, and that is on Sunday morning. That is the same time as Toulon versus Saracen, as well as Leinster versus Harlequins. It's rather unfortunate timing, do I have to say. And then Lyon are taking on the Sharks, and that is at 4:30 a.m. on Monday morning. I don't believe there are any games of the Champions Cup. No, there aren't. So it's only really that Leinster Harlequins game, Bulls and Bayern, that do overlap with each other. He was almost capped by Italy last year. He was in talks with Italy before getting his cap for the Wallabies. Carlo Tazano, thank God he didn't play for Italy, says Xavier. And I watched the Rugby 25 video, super funny. And also, who's winning Super Rugby right now? Like, a lot of people are saying the Chiefs. And it's probably a decent argument. I do think that the Crusaders are going to be up there. And that's pretty bold to say after they've just lost to Moana Pacifica. Went to the Challenge Cup fixture, says LFG. So South African-wise, the first game is going to be at 9 p.m. Oh, daylight saving happens, actually. So that might not actually be an overlap now that I think about it. That might be during the time that daylight saving affects us here in New Zealand. So that would actually mean that we're all right. I don't think there's an overlap anymore. But yeah, Bulls versus Bayern will be at 1:30 p.m. South African time. Sharks versus Lyon will be taking place at, I believe it is 4:30 p.m. South African time. And then Edinburgh versus Lions is 9 p.m. South African time on the Friday night. 30th of March, clocks go forward, says Sean. In Europe, so yeah, for us here in New Zealand, it's the first week of April, so the Sunday, so we will be doing some time travelling again, as we normally do during the daylight saving periods. When will the Bucks play? They are playing in June, a little way away. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see what type of squad is put together pretty much by Rassi. It could look completely different to what we saw last year. He could go with a few curveballs in there. Is the UFC on today as well? The UFC Mexico card? It is. Brandon Moreno taking on Steve URC. Nice one. Gastelum's on that card. Paul Rosas Jr. or Raul Rosas Jr. It's old Chihuahuas, isn't it? Is that what he says? I'm just going to look forward just a little bit. When does Drakus fight? Has that at all been confirmed, ladies and gents? Or is he still to be confirmed? I think he's still to be confirmed when he's going head-to-head with Hamzat. And tell us about the cup that the Bulls and the Sharks are playing in next weekend, please. It is the Challenge Cup, so both sides getting knocked out of the Champions Cup. But because they finished 5th in their groups, it meant that they were able to continue on and now get to make it through to the round of 16 in the Challenge Cup, where the Lions are also actually a part of it. And tonight clocks changes, says Jimbo. Yeah, so for you guys in Europe, they do change today. Whereas for us here in New Zealand, we're on the 6th of April, I believe, is when our changeover takes place. Now, still showing a few more of the highlights of the first half. Looking through at the benches in this match, ladies and gents. For the Bulls, it is Akafanamurva, Martin Zema and Wilco Lowe as the front row replacements. Rua Nokia alongside Mako van Staden. And then Nassim Kar, Ambrose Papier and Biota Chamberlain. The last 3 replacements for Zebre. I wonder how early they'll have to go to their bench. Definitely because they are playing at altitude. It will start to wear down on them. And it's the type of thing that maybe could lead to early changes. But I don't know whether or not that would be a good thing. Also for Zebre, they are not a part of the Challenge Cup. So instead they have got their next game up against Glasgow. That is in 21 days' time. And then they also play Edinburgh for the URC in 28 days. Last 16 of the Champions Cup. We should mention that if they win this game, they will play the week after in the quarterfinals. That is, of course, to be confirmed. Bayonne do have the home field advantage there. And then they've got Munster and Glasgow as 2 of their later fixtures. I won't be staying up for tonight's UFC card, says Flesh. And yeah, it's probably a terrible time for you, isn't it? Like probably midnight or somewhere around there. Which actually is about the same as the normal URC one. Or sorry, not URC, UFC for yourself. But I guess maybe not a card that fully does interest you. One moment, we're going to try and charge my phone. It just died again. Which is very unfortunate, as it has been doing that very often as of late. But currently the score 28 points to 10. And this one's Stravino Jacobs got himself the try. Zach Berger got one. Jan Hendrik Vessels and Sergil Pedersen. They are the 4 try scorers. And then for the Italian side, Zebre, they have just had the 1 try. And that was Jacopo Treula. Second half, I think it will fly by just as quickly as the first, in which it's probably only about 3 or 4 minutes away should the Challenge Cup not be taken seriously as like the best of no non-champions. I mean, the Sharks were the only South African side to bring home silverware last year, and they won the Challenge Cup. So, like, as much as some people consider it as a secondary comp, like, there are still teams that focus on trying to go far in the Challenge Cup. I think we'll see a little bit of experimentation for the South African sides, just because some will want to take it a bit more seriously than others. And up Hong Kong, says Arabic. And there's, oh yeah, hopefully you have been enjoying all of the 7s. One last day tomorrow. It's just a bit of a shame that the South Africans for you, Tim, weren't quite able to go as far as you would have liked, although they will be playing up against the Kenyans in an early game. Will be an exciting one. I guess it's a trophy, prize money, and also auto qualification in the Champions Cup next season. Says Ethan. I think it starts at 11, but it's not a great card. I'll watch it tomorrow. Might be some good fights. Says Flesh. And honestly, sometimes those cards that have what seem like the not so great fights are actually like the better ones, or the not so big names, I should say, are normally the ones that do end up delivering. Hey, hi, Rugby Itch, says Robert V. I see Edward van der Merwe from the Lions joining the Sharks next season. That is a big signing. They're just going to continue stacking their side, I guess, with talent from the other regions. Should I have said Western Province? Says Vitamin. And yes, says Wenma. Yeah, second half, both sides have made their way back out there. Now we've got an ad for sheets. They've decided to try and sell me some, and a mixer. That was a very cheap mixer. They almost got me. I think that was like $900 mixer down to like $250. I don't even need a mixer. I don't know what I'd mix, but someone should buy that mixer if they need one. But do let me know your in-score predictions, ladies and gentlemen, for this game. The next contest will be kicking off in only around 4 hours' time. In fact, it's a little bit earlier than that, I believe. I think it's only 3.5 hours' time till that one kicks off. Yes, it is. We have to wait and see how this match ends. If the Bulls get themselves the win, which at the moment does look extremely likely, they will sit second in the overall standings, and then they will just have to wait and see how that Glasgow Lions game does go to see if they will remain there. 51-20 is the prediction from Jimbo, and gifted 1 membership from Vitamin J. Thank you very much, mate. And Heard Cheering says RIP and never drink or mix a drink, only shake it. That's how Bond did it. And will Bulls go with A or B team to Challenge Cup, as Jake decided? I think originally he didn't take the Champions Cup seriously in terms of his selection, so I would say that the Challenge Cup wouldn't be much different. I think that they'll try and rest their key players heading towards the URC playoffs. Now, nicely claimed there from the fullback in his 50th contest. Beautiful setup, and Zebre just cut through and score within 20 seconds. Just like that. How'd they do that? We're going to see a replay here. Just runs straight through for Priscantelli. I think that maybe the Bulls were a little bit asleep there. Are the Bulls playing better than the Sharks last week, or are Zebre playing worse than last week against the Sharks? I'd say a bit of both. Like, the Bulls have been a lot better because they haven't dropped that ball 20 times like we saw from the Sharks. There's still time though, so of course that could change. But yeah, for now it's going not too badly. Bulls will kick up their altitude game the next 15 minutes, unfortunately, says Walter. And what just happened, Zebre? Yeah, just a really nice try. Yeah, Zebre a little bit closer in this contest now, 28 points to 17. Only 2 more tries until they can get into the position of a bonus point. Going to be kicked downfield. And Priscantelli does get it out. I get Zach off the field. That is pathetic of him, says Eric. Cover Bulls had their wake up, says RIP. Yeah, they came into that second half just a little bit too casually. And opposition took their chance. Lovely try. The Bulls are still sucking their halftime oranges. Says Fleshen. Now thrown in by Aka van der Merwe, who made his way onto the field for Tishak Vini, which means that Jan Hendrik Vezels is now slotting into the props. Please read my comments. Here's Marie. My brother played rugby for 3 days, and they won the first game against a school named Middlesbrough, a primary school, 12-0. Then they beat the host. They hosted the tour, and they won 40-0 at night. There you go. Sounds like an eventful time, but sounds successful. A lot of nils there. And Rugby Hitch, did you feel that quake? Says Robert. Havana Club Rum on the rocks. Hello again. How many tries now? So we've seen 4 from the Bulls and 2 from Zebre. Zebre now, I believe, have got the ball in hand. We're going to see the replay here. Zach Berger just goes to ground. Was there a clear release? Saying maybe just enough of one. And goes Zebre, says Alberto. Now, yes, Bulls power, score. It looks like a nasty cut on the crown of the head. And oops, Maria has not commented, says Vitamin J. Looks like now Berger will be going off for not so much the HIA, but more so just the blood bin, which does bring Ambroise Papier onto the field. Come on the Bulls now, says Ben. So another 37 minutes remaining, so plenty of time. And move JOH to 9, built at 10, says Eric. Well, now they have got Ambroise Papier, who should be able to add a bit more control to the game, I would say. Now, once again, a big scrum from the Bulls. They've got themselves the penalty advantage. Now Ambroise Papier looking for the little kick in behind. This one's going to be sitting up awkwardly. It is well taken again. And he says Vitamin J, and Bulls just messing my prediction up. And go the Bulls. Can go to sleep in the second half, says Ronnie. It's going to be the penalty in favour of Zebre again. That is it. Zach off. Oh no. Are we going to lose now, says Eric with the winky face. And we have got, hey guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got 2 more matches, so about probably 4.5 hours more of the commentary. The vocal cords, they're starting to sneak away a little bit, but I think the water's definitely helped. Feels like the first proper all-nighter, almost an all-dayer all-nighter that we've done on the channel as well in a long time. Aka van der Merwe was defending win. Says a Jimbo. Looking for that turnover. Before I did say that it was a penalty to Zebre, but I did actually mean to the Bulls. 15 minutes into the second half. That's normally where we see them up the tempo. Try and really make it a problem for opposition at altitude. We saw it in that game up against Leinster, although Leinster seemed to get quite strong as the match did wear on. And Ambroise Papier goes back across to Aka van der Merwe, manages to dodge through 2 tackles, but jumping straight onto the ball, almost the turnover for Zebre. 8 strong cup of brew, Hamish, says Birdie V. Now Papier, again going off to the left-hand side, kicking Johannes, looking for the cross kick, not taken cleanly by Stravino Jacobs. Just said there that 7 and 4 were both offside for Zebre. Not really what you want to be doing is collecting penalties against you just out from the line. They look like Jacobs put in very little effort to bring that ball in. I think that Johannes placed this almost perfectly. And yeah, just didn't dive forward at it. Stravino Jacobs. And Ice in the Mornings, says Walter, and maybe my phone doesn't recognise the emoji you used. It just shows up as a square, says Christopher. It's like a little bit of medical attention taking place. One of the forwards, but Ferrari now will make his way onto the field. That is for Volpe. When is Pollard coming back to the Bulls? I believe it is next season of the URC. The Bulls beat Leinster because South Africa players are best at squeezing value from last few minutes of a game, says Jimbo. And I think that it was the perfect example that the Sharks and the Bulls did the same thing. And that was get their scrum going. Try and just force the opposition into positions where they had to give away penalties. And, I mean, it's exactly what happened for the Sharks. They were able to penalise Zebre pretty much off the park. And I made it home, Amish. See Zebre have up their game, says Ruth, and hope the Bulls play well in the second half and don't go for a nap, says Johan. Still 35 minutes remaining, and at the moment the second half tally is 7-0 in favour of Zebre. And July, says Ronnie. It's crazy to think how close we are to the international window. Like, I know it's still 3.5 months or so. Or, yeah, three and a bit. But, like, it is coming very quickly. Nice attack and run from Marcel Kurtzia. I give the new youngster on the bench, Wilco and Nokia, a chance now. Maybe they can make a difference. Says Eric, 5 metres out from the line. And Ambroise Papier goes off to Jan Hendrik Wessels. He's already been able to score 1 try in this match. Papier goes back across and over the line for Marco van Staren. And the Bulls now will get their 5th. As much as Zebre want to be able to win this game, I do not think the win so much is possible, but the bonus point certainly is 2 more tries, and it may come at the risk of conceding a few more points. Maybe that is a risk worth taking. You can't wait for the internationals, always the main event for me, says Ethan. And exactly Walter says Jimbo there, and Ferrari. It's a famous car family. Says Roof. And now Keegan Johannes, he is currently sitting 4 from 4, so he has had a very strong day off the kicking tee. A loser's bonus maybe, says Vitamin, exactly right. Like, just getting some form of points from an away game is pretty much crucial in terms of the overall standings. And the kick has gone over again from Keegan Johannes. The weather is very mild, getting darker, early autumn. And Audi lads, out of the Stormers butcher that game from last night. Ego ended up with a flop. They did hold on with 14 players to bag a point. Says one, or did they I think they got 2 points, didn't they, Juan? 1 for within 7, 1 for 4 or more tries. So, you know, I think they'll be happy enough. Like, yes, they should have probably won that game, but, you know, they'll take it. I'm going to be kicked off here again by Zebre. They need to be the next team to score a try if they do want a good chance of at least being close in this contest. Big shot coming in from Ferrari. I give the stream a like if you're South African. Says dime till death. The main issue is, even though I support Leinster, I feel like the sacrifice the South African tour for the Harlequins game. For me, it's a wrong mindset. I personally think if the South African tour was early in the season, says Sean, I will take it, but we should have been better. And see Sharks, this is how you beat the Zebras. I play your B team, says Eric. And there would be a chance for a stronger Leinster side. Like, that's the thing. That Leinster team that they sent over, yes, they were a lot less strong than you would normally see. But, like, they still, in my opinion, could have beat the Bulls. And I feel like that's a big confidence booster, knowing that even your B side per se, or your developmental team, has a good chance up against top sides. Now Zebre with the line out. Luca Biggie. This one will be about 40 metres out from the Bulls line. It's just about to be thrown in. Looked like it was in slow motion, and the Bulls are able to take it back. Here comes a run from Marco fast start, and he has Ambrose Papia with him. Goes across. Now 30 metres out, Akafunda Merva going to the right-hand side. Skip pass from Keegan Johannes. And Northern Hemisphere teams still use town and city names. Southern Hemisphere, all nicknames strange. Says Sean. That's going to be straight in off the feet from the Bulls. And a little bit of push and shove. And in fact, one player has stayed down here. And still push and shove. Jerseys are about to be ripped. Number 5 has been taken down. That is JF Van Heeren, one of the younger players. There looks like he wants to be right in amongst the action. That's due to Super Rugby days. Says one Beer Bosch. Right, Gumedi just still having a bit of a chat there with, I believe it is, Bianchi. They've been separated. I think the coach just shows the white flag. Hopefully you're right. Right, looks like there's going to be a bit of a discussion here. Either way, there is a player down for Zebre now. Right, so 12 kicked the ball away. I think that's Harold Foster. And now they are just checking this to see whether or not anything needs to be ruled as anything more serious. I predicted 30 points to 20, but that was full time, says on the right. Well said, Hamish. Leinster could have beaten the Bulls B team, says Eric. And Irish teams are just our 4 provinces. Oh, JF Van Heeren gets the yellow card. So Foster kicked the ball away, which was already an infringement in its own right. And then JF Van Heeren decided that he wanted to play a bit of argy-bargy and gets sent from the field for the next 10 minutes. And Bulls 4-2 over Leinster. Have beaten Leinster A, B, and C teams. Is that true, Bulls fans? Irish teams are just our 4 provinces, so no nicknames really. So JF Finyerin, yes, like the Zebre player did milk it a little bit, did the big dive, but you can't run in after the penalty has been awarded. I guess that shows the strictness that they're going for as well. The fact that that was a yellow card rather than just a warning or a penalty. Let's see, one says Raquel there. Currently 30 minutes remaining. Looks like Ambros Papi again will make his way from the field. That is for Zach Berger to return out there. Looks like they managed to stop the bleeding from the top of his head. It's always ideal. And come on, the Bulls concentrate now, says Ben. Yeah, still 30 minutes left, so plenty of time for, in my opinion, the Bulls to get 50 and for Zebre to get their bonus point. I think that both are more than achievable. And points differential slowly going up for the Bulls as well in the overall standings. Currently, the way that it sits, they've got that differential of 68. The teams ahead of them, Glasgow have 132, and Leinster have a points differential of plus 193. It's going to be a good scrum from Zebre, and they do force the knock on to Sport URC team. I honestly just love watching all of the sides play. Why are we pushing and shoving again, boys? Mako Van Staden this time is the guy who gets in there. You would have thought that they would have just learnt from getting a yellow card that maybe that's not the best way of approaching it. Connard says Sean. And we need 50 plus, and I reckon Hamish is a secret Stormers fan, says Ethan. Just going to see it here. What happens that kicks them off again in terms of aggression? I think it's just the fact that Zebre overpowered them and went ahead of them. And that scrum and managed to go over the top. Sean, the cities are Dublin, Belfast, Galloway, Limerick / Cork. Oh, this doesn't look too good for Luca Rizzoli. Looks like he's unable to put a lot of weight on that left ankle. I mean, he has to make his way from the field. In fact, it looks like he is going to, so that it's like a relatively serious hit to the front row of Zebre. Now just showing the live standings. It would have the Bulls in second place if this was the way that it was to stay at the end of the 80 minutes. Is it the Bulls B team? Yes, they've gone with a lot of experimental players in this lineup. I've learned something today, thanks Jimbo, says Sean, and I wouldn't blame Hamish. Says when, and let's focus Bulls, I need 50, come on. Says Ben. For Zebre at the moment, they will be sitting, I believe that is second last. I just mentioned about how the top 8 qualify for the Champions Cup, as well as, of course, the quarterfinals. Quite a bit on the line for the sides if you are able to do so. The Lions narrowly missing out last year, which made them go into the Challenge Cup. Looking for that offload for Zebre, not able to get it going. Now off to the right again. This time it will be Canale. They normally go to sleep second half, says Johan. Yeah, at the moment we're 7-7 in terms of half-time or second half points. Marcel Kurtzia, that was almost his penalty. And he does manage to get it. Referee a little bit slow deciding who to give that one to. But in the end, Marcel Kurtzia is man who's rewarded. Island is geographically divided into 4 ancient provinces, basically quartering the island, says Jimbo. Looks like again they are going to go for the touchline here. This is quite a bit of confidence shown by the Bulls. Aka van der Merwe is off the field and he's actually getting ready to take this line out, but ball hasn't been into touch as of yet. Now it has. And Bulls fix the score, says Ben. Marcel Kurtz here just waits for that opportunity. It looked like a little bit of a slip from one of the Zebre clean-out players. And, oh, no, sorry, it wasn't a slip. It was actually in the process of him trying to join the breakdown. He hit the leg of Stravino Jakobs as he was jumping in. And Bosch, their Wonder Boys, lost it for the Stormers. Blame Sasha and Damien Verlimza. So Leinster, etc. provinces, Jimbo. Says Sean. Roa Nokia makes his way on. That is going to be for Gumeri. Drop ball from Maka van der Merwe when it came to line out. Trying to go for a sneaky set piece just at the front. Didn't really go the way that they had planned. And come on the Bulls now, says Ben. Now ready for another line out this time for Zebre. Eldrick Lowe is also, Wilco Lowe, I should say, has made his way onto the field. That is for Mornay Smith. To the left-hand side and got it, thanks. Says Sean. Off to the right. Zebre still need those 2 tries to get that bonus point, which I believe is the bare minimum that they will want from this game. Just some form of point. That one's going to be hitting the Bulls player, I believe. It's going to stay in the field of play, and Stravino Jakobs just decides it is best to kick that one out. He tries to tackle him off the side of the field. And yep, now there's going to be more push and shove. It's just kicking off at the moment between these two sides. It all started because Jakobs decided to make a tackle on a man who wasn't on the field of play. Sounds like there is another injury here for number 10. That was the young replacement lock on now for the Bulls, says Eric. Assume you're talking Nokia, aren't you? Bulls, we need some kind of magic Bulls, says Ben. Oh, it's actually Keegan Johannes who has stayed down. Maybe dislocated finger, looking at that one. Put it back into place. Looks like he's going to continue playing. One of those unfortunate injuries that happen quite a bit in a game of rugby. That finger can end up looking all sorts of mangled. The Bulls supporters still absolutely loving it at the ground. And blame Sasha, unnecessary penalty was silly. Says Blues name, but now it's going to be a 5-metre line out here for Zebre. They get their third. Last one felt like they were going in slow motion with that line out throw from Luca Biggie. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the front here, and that is exactly what they decide to go. Really good shove coming from the Bulls to be able to slow this one down and halt its momentum. I'm feeling all sort of mingled, says Vitamin J. Now rolling more. This one's looking a lot better now for Zebre. Kirsten has come through the middle, so he is legal where he is, but they will go over Zebre and they get the ball down. It is the try, and they will get their third. It's a carnage at Loftus, says James. This time, I believe it is their number 16, Tommaso Di Bartolomeo. It's got it. Oh no, says Vitamin J. They're actually not out of this game. Like, I know I mentioned about how Zebre would be looking for the bonus point for 4 or more tries, but one more try from here would actually put them within 7. And that's 2 bonus points. Could be on offer. Giancomo Dara has now got the kicking opportunity. And Zebre having to make a few earlier switches, maybe because of that altitude, but that kick has gone straight over the middle again. Plenty of time, let us pray. And falls a Zebre, says Fleshin, but we are only sitting 3 hours, 10 minutes away from the next matchup taking place, ladies and gents. That will be Sharks versus Leinster. And then the match that does follow that will be Cardiff versus the Lions. Glasgow versus the Lions. I'm hoping to still be wide awake by that stage, but I would say that the eyelids will be struggling. Currently 11 points difference between these two teams now. And Keegan Johannes ready to kick this one high again. Will you be commentating all these games? We will indeed, yes. So, still plenty more of my voice over this weekend. And if yes, I need coffee, says Vitamin J. It's going to be kicked high by the replacement 21. We've seen really a small amount of Fatuli Paya in this game. In fact, I can't even think of a carry that he's had, which makes me wonder if he's even out there on the field. In fact, he's not. I see a different man as that number 13, nice ball on the outside. Trevino Jacobs chasing after this one. Big shot. Ball's knocked dead by Zebre, and it's going to be a 5-metre scrum now. Favour of the Bulls. Warriors versus Lions will be fire. A two great backline, says Jimbo. Yeah, and both love playing high tempo rugby. Plus, I mean, their defences is normally something to keep an eye out on too. So yeah, with it being the last game of the URC for the weekend, I really want to do it. And I feel like if it wasn't as, I don't want to offend any teams, but if it was, let's say, Lions versus Dragons or someone like that, I probably would have given it a miss. But because it's Glasgow and there's a lot on the line in terms of the amount of points that Lions can make up if they get the away win, or Glasgow, they can push themselves back up into second if we see the Bulls get the bonus point win here. And let's go the Bulls, says Ben. And thanks for your commentary, Hamish, says Russell. No worries at all. And we are going to have the sevens tomorrow too. Be sure to keep an eye out for those games. I'm planning on hopefully doing South Africa versus Kenya. That is a 5 p.m. kickoff for us here in New Zealand. Although that's one of those games, it's a really rough time for you guys in South Africa. It will be 6 a.m. So I'm not too sure how many people will be popping in for that one. JF Van Heeren, very close to making his way back out onto the field. I would say he's just been told by the coaches, or at least the medics and whatnot, just to stay calm. Don't go too crazy doing too many silly things. Still 23 more minutes to be able to make a bit of an impact in this fixture. You'll be zombie by June, Hamish. I think so. There are a lot of late night games. Luckily, the cricket season is over, because I have to say, if I was playing cricket today, I don't think I would have been. First of all, I think I would have had to take the day off. But yeah, we would have been brutal between all these streams and your friend's birthday surprise. How many hours of sleep are you currently functioning on? The good news is, I managed to get probably, I'd say, 7 or 8 hours sleep yesterday. But probably, that's a nice try. Has been scored by Marcel Kurtz, and the Bulls going again. But yeah, we're going to be running off probably about 30 hours of being awake with that 7 hours of sleep prior, which, it's stock standard for the weekend. If you died, who will take over? Please be careful, because it won't be the same, says ROP. Honestly, I don't know whether or not any of the others would want to take over for me. George might do the occasional random reacts video or something. And Jake busy emptying the Valdame again. Your accent is rough, but Durban Indian is rougher. Says a vitamin, missing Kiwi Lads cricket commentary. Plenty of fun, eh? Says Blues Nate. Yeah, it's normally a lot more casual, the cricket, isn't it? Bit more of a catch-up type of vibe. So what, Bulls versus Leinster? It was one of the best games in the URC so far. Says Ricardo, and that kick has gone over for the Bulls, so that is now going to make the score 42 points to 24. Now, I mentioned earlier on that the chance of 50 points for the Bulls is still very much doable, and the chance of a bonus point for Zebre is doable as well. Do you take Red Bull or a vitamin drip to stay awake, says Salad? No, I just normally drink water, and that seems to keep me awake enough. But I think it's just, I've gotten so used to it from doing so many weekends. That Rugby World Cup was absolutely brutal, but we did every single game, whether it was a 9 a.m. kickoff or a 5 a.m. one. So, that completely broke my sleep schedule. In fact, that broke my sleep schedule for about 6 months. I couldn't get back to, a normal sleeping pattern. So the pressure is on you alone? Pretty much, yeah. And Bulls, let's do it 50 plus, says Ben. I love it, mate. Still smooth, doing great. Nicely. Oh, no, not nicely taken. He actually went up for it. Roa Nokia, but then ended up knocking the ball on. We'll go back for the original scrum. I can only imagine, says Salah. The wonders of youth, Hamish, says Jimbo. And Hamish, you're looking fresher than a daisy. Thanks again, lovely commentary, says Ruth. Right, Bulls 6 and 2. Sounds like 2 more changes are about to be made. And well done, the Bulls, says Ruth. And Jimbo, apologies for my ignorance, but which is home city of each team? Says Sean. They're trying to say that there's going to be a penalty against Presiantelli. And Hamish, well, that must be tough. Yeah, although we once again, we kind of got used to it. And the thing is, during live streams that we don't end up doing, I feel worse about not doing them than I do while doing them, if that makes sense. You are the champions. We need a penalty and 1 try. Let's go, Bulls, says Ben. Now 20 minutes remaining. Martin Zima, he has made his way on. And that was for Jan Hendrik Wessels, who did at one point transition into prop from his hooker initial role. Throwing it in, nicely taken by Aka van der Merwe. Now looping around. A bump off one, moving up to the 22 metres. Zagberger. Across the Nizamkar, or Nizamkar, I should say. Played in the air, says Eric. I think in the end they said yes to that penalty, didn't they? And go the Bulls, says Vitamin. Looks like a bit of frustration there for Keegan Johannes too. So he just ended up making the wrong choice, going to Makafan, starting a little bit too low on the pass. Wasn't able to regather it. Thanks again, Jimbo, says Sean. Handling errors. 8 against the Bulls, 7 from Zebre. So nowhere near the numbers that we saw last week between the Sharks and Zebre. The Sharks did actually manage to bring up, I believe it was 20 handling errors in total, which is an absurd amount. And if they have that many up against Leinster, I think they will be punished. That upcoming contest kicking off in 3 hours' time. We are going to be live for that matchup. Big push coming there. Now going off to the left-hand side, rub it in behind from Zebre, looking for a little bit of territory. And yes, Bulls show power, says Ben. Being told to retreat there, nicely taken round the halfway line. And David Creel straight on the ball, gets the penalty for the Bulls again here. It just seems to be the breakdown work at the moment. Who got the ball? Well, now the Bulls do. Who has been impressed, or who has impressed the most in the Bulls B team? I think that Keegan Johannes has looked really safe in their number 10 jersey. In terms of the forwards, I mean, Jan Hendrik Wessels had some good moments. And then I mean, Sergio Peterson, he's been all right, but he has had a couple of defensive errors. So, yeah, I probably would go Keegan Johannes as well as Jan Hendrik Wessels. And roughly north, south, east, west of the Irish, or on the island, short. Jeff and Johannes. And when Dupola coming? He is coming next season, so that will be pretty much the start of the next URC, which is around July or just after that, I think. So when he'll be making his way over. Been told to use it once here for the rolling ball. Aka van der Merwe with the pick and go. Zach Berger going short to David Creel. Martin Zima can't quite sneak through, but I don't think it will be a mile away for the Bulls to be able to strike again. Sergio Peterson can't get his offload on the outside. Great low tackle on Wilco. Low, bit of a counter-ruck coming from Zebre. Oh, Zebre have been told to leave it. They don't want to leave it. They keep on going for the counter-ruck and they give away the penalty in the end. Referee says they were off their feet. Taking it quickly here for the Bulls. They will move to only 5 metres out now. Well done, Creel. Extra Lucy in the back line. France Dane 2.0. Says Eric. This is looking on the verge of another try for the home side. Zach Berger goes off to Harold Foster. Had a bit of a fumble of the ball. He's over the line though. And he will get another one. Try time, says Sakabula. Went to an Irish school in South Africa, Jimbo, Christian Brothers College. Says Sean. The crowd very much so enjoying that one. Harold Foster, he enjoyed it too. He's had a bit of a... I would say he's had a solid enough game. I was going to say he's had a couple little moments that went wrong, but you know, it's probably a 7, 8 out of 10, somewhere around there. Wonderful commentary. I would need a hot coffee. You covered well, Sean, says Jimbo. Now, South Africa, they will be 1 point away, or the Bulls, sorry. They'll be 1 point away from their half century. Speaking of half centuries, when is South Africa in action for the cricket next? Ladies and gents. In fact, while Keegan Johannes is lining up this kick, we're going to have a look. I know that New Zealand and Pakistan are playing at the moment. International cricket. What do we got coming up? When are South Africa playing? They are up against... Geez, they're actually waiting a little while. Zimbabwe, and that is on the 28th of June. Quite a wee way away. And then there's a one-off tournament. Is that a T20 World Cup happening in 2025? Maybe. And 50 plus is coming up, says Ricardo. And now my eyes are as red as yours. Says Robert, yeah, mine are definitely this one. That's starting to get a little bit concerning, but she'll be right. Last week's game just gave the Bulls massive boost. Average was caught smoking at fullback behind the poles. So that's memory of yours before the World Cup that you forgot. You're welcome. Says RIP, and looking scary now, says Blues Nate. 14 minutes left, and another penalty does go to the Bulls side. You just wonder whether or not with this amount going against Zebre, this is when, as we're seeing, the hands go on the hips, the body starts to tire, the fatigue sets in. And the Bulls are just starting to ramp it up that little bit more. Many South African cricketers now, or cricketers, now the IPL, 17 of them, says Sean Gunter. Yeah, so that probably explains why they aren't having any international matches at the moment. But just a silly clean out in the air from, I think that was the big number 5. Yes, Bulls, we need one more to finish, says Ben. Right, the replacement lock. Francisco Ruffalo. He'll make his way on for Bianchi, who was right in the pushing action earlier on. Bulls have got the full 5. Zebre can still get one more point. Or get 1 point in general. Earning lovely Bollywood money. Says Wenmar. Now, Ambrose Vapier. Across to the left-hand side. That one was going to be a hard breakdown to try and find the ball. Looked like there was a Zebre player who was unable to roll away. Our Bulls pen and our predictions are good. And that's going to be a penalty now going the way of Zebre this time. And they decide to take the quick tap. It's going to be the number 15. Kicking it down the middle of the field. A bit of a foot race here. Zebre were close to winning it, but Carr gets back. Claims it for the Bulls inside of their own 22. Hey, Bulls, my wife is asleep. Let's do something special, says Vitamin J. Now, Keegan Johannes. I'll let Ambrose Papia take this one rather than getting it in the pocket, and it does go into touch. It sounded like Bulls 10 is about to make his way from the field. Yes, he is. Chamberlain will make his way on. There's still time. I'm just trying to work out whether or not Zebre, I mean, they haven't had a huge amount of attack in the last little while. It seems to be most breakdowns. They are losing possession. Yeah, Chamberlain is on the field. That is for Keegan Johannes, who I feel is definitely up there for a man of the match contender. They're going to be thrown in by Daibato Lomio. Claimed by Zebre almost. They still on the breakdown again. Marcel Kurtzia. In fact, that time was Marco van Staden and ended up almost leaving his feet. That last breakdown. Zebre looking to this near side of the field. Sell a dummy from the replacement prop. Pitanari. Is Chamberlain doing better at the Bulls than he was at the Sharks? He hasn't got a huge amount of game time at times for the Bulls. So it's a bit hard to judge, although saying that he also didn't get a huge amount of time for the Sharks. Definitely not when Upper Lelefasi started to really find his stride, but he's a good enough player. Every once in a while, though, he does just seem to have a bit of a rough game. Oh, a little bit of a risk there for Zebre. That was unnecessary from Ambros Papier. Probably lucky not to have a penalty against him. Not sure why he decided to push the man after he had put it down. That's going to be a goal line dropout that is retained by Zebre now. Running it beautifully up the middle of the field. Moving up to the halfway line. Another offload, but that time it's going to be knocked on by Filippo Rago. If the Bulls beat Zebre over 50-30, the Zebre name will not be Zebre. It will be Zebre. Because why do they take the E's? What's the go there? And I know it's a sensitive topic, but what future for Mani, says Jimbo. Depends on who you talk to. Because it seems like Rassi still has Mani in his future plans. But a lot of people have already tuned against him. Zebre coaches a little bit disappointed with that one, not being able to turn it into some more points. Now just 10 minutes left on the clock here. In fact, just a little bit less than the 10 minutes. This is when the big decisions need to be made. What do? Do they go risky and have a risk of maybe conceding 1 or 2 extra tries for the sake of getting 1 for your bonus point? Do you play it safe? I feel like Zebre, from what we've seen there, probably willing to take a couple risks. And brother, thank you for all the streams and commentating thus far. True Legend brother, says Booty V. And yeah, if we don't see you a little bit later on, of course, do have a safe flight back to South Africa. I'm sure we'll end up seeing you at some stage, probably next week. Yes, at least we smoked it after the game, unlike Hamish. Says RIP and Zebre 15th on the log. Did you expect a close game? No surprises here, says Jackals World. But the thing is, did we expect a close game last week? Where they went down to the wire up against the Sharks and almost beat them, and the Sharks are sitting 4th on the table. So, maybe it is a little bit more one-sided. Well, in fact, it's probably about par with what people thought, but Zebre, when they do get underestimated, can sometimes pull off some brilliant performances, as we saw in their game up against the Sharks. Lions need a Mani fly half. Welko good on the cross defence. No wonder the Zebre knocked, says Eric. And Sasha and Andre cut above. Yes, for sure. We'll see you in the next game. Thank you, Hamish, says Booty V. And Bulls take the chance and score, please, Bulls. Says Ben. You really want the 50 points, I believe, was the call from yourself, Ben. And come on, Bulls, 50 plus, says Sakabola. And Lebok to Leinster Prolly, says Wenmar. And also, we have got, where was it? I did miss one. Lipstick Lebok, hot and cold, says Ruth. Now 8 minutes still left in this matchup. Ball about to be fed in by Zebre. They will be 45 metres out from their own try line. Both front rows have gone down. We have got there, dude. I would love to be your gaffer. Like, bring you a drink, look after you. Great job you're doing, says Vitamin J. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciate it. It's going to be another loose ball here, picked up by the Bulls once more and back in the pocket. And Bros Papier goes across to Nassim Carr, who goes up the middle looking for that next pass. Manages to find it to Bros Papier, who will pin his ears back and he will run for the corner, but instead puts it on the inside. And Peterson will score. That is the half century now for the Bulls. However, there, they have hands or not, cannot coach that, says Eric. And I honestly thought Mani would lead box to 3 in a row, but Sasha has streaked past him. I never see you drinking water. How can you do commentary? Or how do you do commentary for speaking so much? How do you not get thirsty? I do sneak a drink every once in a while. Like this was full at the start of the live stream. It's just, I'm pretty sneaky with it that I try and do it during the breaks and kind of in between tries type thing. We have got our school chat group is so busy. Put it on chat lock. Everybody wants to go back in time and not be 40, says RIP. A chance to line up this kick for Chamberlain. And does get it over. So 56-24 is how it currently sits. And still 6 minutes remaining. The chance of a bonus point for Zebre is still on the cards. They've got 3 tries. They need 1 more. For the Bulls, they will keep on making the most of Zebre's mistakes. Now, ready to kick this one off again for Zebre. Now, that is a score, says Vitamin. And coming the Bulls, top of the log, says Ben. Although they can't quite go there by the end of this round, but they certainly can continue to work towards it. I always thought Sasha had a cool head. Last night showed he is still far away, as erratic as Damien Valimza and Marnie. Hopefully he learns, needs to join the Bulls for some good coaching, says Eric. Someone had 50-22 or 52-22 in the chat. Says Jimbo, that ball has gone into touch. Looks like Zebre are going to try and take this one quickly, taking the risk, and that's a loose ball picked up by David Creel, and it will be another try for the Bulls. So yeah, Zebre are just throwing anything they can to try and score tries now, and unfortunately for them, that is now 2 errors that have led to 2 tries for the Bulls. The Zebre supporter looking frustrated in the stands, now go for 70 Bulls, and they are certainly working towards that. Do you miss playing rugby at school, Amish? Not really. I used to be more so a referee back at school for the rugby, just because I was the only one who had a decent knowledge of the kind of rules. So that normally ended up with me having to do the refereeing. That kick has gone over, making the score now 63 points to 24. And the damn wall is broken, says Vitamin. And let's go for 80, says Suckable. I'm not sure about 80. I think 70 would be a good start with where it sits at the moment. How far through this game is. 9 tries, all converted by the Bulls. And I think that is, 9 tries is impressive, but the fact that they have all gone over for the kicks makes it that much more so. The game is never over for the Bullies. Superb finishing team, says Jimbo, and they have got themselves possession again here. Ambros Papier being told to use it. He will kick it downfield. Zebre, few players with their hands on their hips at the moment. The only way Zebre can get a bonus point is if the Bulls leave the field. Says Cornelius. That one's going to be knocked on. Oh, but there was a penalty initially. So it means that Zebre are able to take the quick tap, in which they have done so, moving up to the 22-metre line. Now 2. In fact, 3.5 minutes remaining here. Only 10 metres out from the try line. For the ball was Jelik. Now short. Oh, he wasn't even expecting it. I don't even know if that player got a hand to the ball. You got a great Bulls party. Our last Bulls lethal at the end of the match. Think that epic victory over Leinster, the turning point, says Eric. Now back into the pocket. Devon Williams. Taking a bit of a risk there. Okay, they've gone back for no advantage, so it will go back for the knock on. Yes, Eric, they're triggered. Says Jimbo. And let's go for 70 plus, says Ben. Well, 70 could still be on the cards with the amount of time remaining. Don't know about 70 plus. But yeah, just not actually looking for that ball. He was looking at his halfback. Though I think he was also saying maybe he was taken out early in the tackle. That's what the Sharks should have done, says RIP. And the thing is, the Bulls have the opportunity here that they could just kick that ball into touch at 80 minutes. I don't think there's any point in them going for an extra try. They've already won this game in comfortable fashion. Points differential sitting pretty good. Yes, they could get an extra 7 on top, but Now, I think if you're the Bulls, you avoid injuries. You go into the next game still kind of fresh. Be in the Challenge Cup, round of 16. But now Mike Adamson asking for a bit of stability at scrum time. Big push from the Bulls, and they'll get themselves another penalty. Sharks don't have the attitude or altitude, says Sakabula. And a blue statement. Yeah, big statement win for the Bulls. Definitely because at times Zebre were keeping it close, but from 28-10 at half time, it became 28-17. And then since then, it's been a lot of the Bulls with just that one extra try of Zebre in there as well. But Keegan Johannes, he will be the man of the match. Having a very solid game. Also dislocating a finger in the process, but still continuing afterwards. I would say he'll be definitely one to watch out for over the next few matches. That is, if they decide to select him. We're not actually too sure what Jake White will be thinking. And funny match, both of the Bulls backline not good. Or most of the Bulls backline not good, but they still did a good win. Jeff, for me, was a standout player. Has a big future, says Eric. Now passed on the outside to Sergio Peterson. Ball on to Devin Williams, who gets wrestled into touch. Is it over, says Claudio? Not quite. Still 40 seconds remaining in this contest. And 28 unanswered points, Savage, says Jimbo. And 63, that's a cricket innings. Now line out throw for Zebre. They will be just inside of their own 22. So for them to be able to score another try here, they would have to go almost the full length of the field. Which is not an easy thing to do. Is Ruanoki on? He is indeed. Does often get a line out steal. So perhaps he can get this one for the Bulls. Oh, this time no. Instead, it's going to be stolen by, I want to say it was JF van Heeren. A really bad cricket innings. That is going to be the full-time siren. Looks like the Bulls want one more try, though, just to add more of a statement. They're also 22 metres out from their opposition line, so they might as well have another crack. Here comes a run from David Creel. Are you a delight, man? Thanks for the effort, says Vitamin J. No worries at all, and we are going to be back with plenty more. All kicked there forward by Zebre, and it goes into touch. And that'll be full-time, 63 points to 24. Zebre come out of this game with 0 points, but the Bulls will get the full 5, which now moves them into second on the overall standings. But the next game we are covering will be Leinster versus the Sharks. That is not a mile away, only about 2.5 hours. We are going to be live on the channel for that match. And also the one after that between Cardiff and the... Well, sorry, I keep saying Cardiff, but it's Glasgow and the Lions. On song again. Mr. Kiwi, thanks. Says Petrus, thank you very much for being here. Zebre just wanted their mummies now. Says Wen Man, well done, the Bulls, awesome run. Says Jimbo. Nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I will see you all for the next one.